Okay, today we're going to continue talking about algebraic expressions. Remember, expressions do not have equal signs. And today we are going to talk about how we can translate words into algebraic expressions and translate algebraic expressions into words. So an algebraic expression really is just a math sentence. And so we're going to take those math sentences and turn them into words, and the opposite as well. So first going to start with some key words for you that will represent certain operations. So for addition, these are going to be some key words that tell you you're going to need to add. Same thing here for subtraction. So I would pause right here to document those so we can use them when we are talking about these. Similarly, here are some that will indicate to you you need to multiply and divide. And so please do copy those down as well. And then last but not least, these are some phrases that will tell you you're going to need parentheses or these things called turnaround phrases, which tell you, for example, if I start with the number 4, I'll say 4. Okay, 4 is less than. Oh, that means not to go to the right. It means to go this way. Less than means subtract. And then maybe I would say a number and use X. So turnaround phrases means don't go from left to right, go back to the left. So typically when we're writing these, we write from left to right. Those turnaround phrases sort of tell us, whoops, we got to go in reverse to the left instead. So get these down as well. So we'll start by taking a sentence in words and turning it into an algebraic expression. When we say a number, that means we're not being specific about what the number is. And so we are talking about a variable. So I'm just going to translating this by writing down what I see. A number is not anything specific, so we're going to use a variable, typically X. Then it tells us divided by. When we do divided by, we're going to use a fraction bar, and then 12. A number divided by 12 is X divided by 12. The product of a number, product, tells us to multiply. When we have the product of a number again tells us, let's use a variable. I'm going to use the variable X. When I'm multiplying X times something, if it's an actual number, I can just write that number next to X. So this says the product, multiply, a number, X, and 14. That means I'm multiplying X and 14. And we can write that just as 14X. So whenever we write a number next to a variable, that means we're going to be multiplying that. We don't have to actually write parentheses. We don't have to actually write any sort of multiplication symbol. It is implied and understood that a number next to a variable means we're multiplying them. So here we go, 6. So I'm just going to start with the number 6. 6 less than, that was a turnaround phrase. That tells us to go the opposite direction. So if we're typically writing from left to right, 6 less than means subtract. Since we're saying 6 less than, we're going to do a minus to the left, and we're going to start working to the left. The product of a number, that means we're going to multiply x by 4. So 6 less than the product of a number and 4. And even though on the last one we put x down first and then 14 came after, we typically put the number in front of the variable. So 4 will be in front of x. On the last example, 14 was in front of x. That's just sort of a convention that we use in math. Again, as always, if you get stuck, please do raise your hand and ask for help before moving on and getting maybe further stuck. Here we're going to do the opposite. We have 8x, and we want to write that in words. So we have to decide what operation's happening here. Well, we're multiplying. And we have some words that you should have written down that represent multiply. We've used it a couple times now. The word product means to multiply. When we refer to x, we refer to a number. And then 8 is just 8. So here we would write the product, because we're multiplying, of a number. That tells us we have a variable that we don't know what it is. And then what are we multiplying it with? The number 8. So we're doing the opposite of what we just did on the last few examples. And we can sort of take from what we've done before. So we know that 3 times x is the product of a number and 3, just like we just did the product of a number and 8. And then we have to throw in here this plus 5. And so we could write this a couple ways. The way I'm going to write it is I'm going to start with 5. I'm going to say 5. One of the, I believe one of the turnaround words was more than, because we're adding 5 to something. So we're going to have 5 more than what we started with. So 5 more than a product, or I'm sorry, the product of a number that is x and 3. So 5 more than the product of a number and 3. We could write the product of a number and 3 plus 5. This, I believe, sounds better. And we've got one more. I'm going to do it the way that I've been doing it, where if I have this plus or minus, I'm going to start here. This is not the only way to translate this. I'm going to say 2 less than is our minus, our turnaround. 2 less than, I'm going to say that's a square. So 2 less than the square, because that's x squared. 2 less than the square, and then of course of a number. So if you did get stuck on any of those, please do ask me for help before you move on to the problems I ask you to do on your own. If you feel confident, you feel good, you've got your questions answered, please then move on. I have reduced the number of problems I want you to do. So instead of 10, I have 4. So choose the correct answer. In the first 2, we're translating from words to expressions. And then the second 2, we are translating those expressions into words. Choose the right answer and put it in the answer box that's provided for you. If you need any help at any point, please do ask for it. I'd be glad to help you. Take your time on these and good luck.